Good morning, everybody. It is Clean Monday, the first day of Orthodox Lent. I'm just gonna get myself a quick cup of tea to start out my morning, and then I'm gonna be making a video for you guys all about some tips and tricks for mamas going through Lent.
In peace, let us pray to the Lord. For the peace from above and the salvation of our souls, let us pray to the Lord. Lord, have mercy. For the peace of the whole world.
All right, I got my tea to start off the morning. Some of you may or may not know that monks and nuns, for the first few days of Lent, they generally do not eat anything until after the pre-sanctified liturgy on Wednesday. So what our family does is we usually do liquid food like smoothies and soups, or tea, coffee, things like that, for the first few days, as much as we are able to do. So I'm starting it off with my chamomile tea. I want to get straight into our tips and tricks. These are in not really any order of importance, just things that help me. Okay, so tip number one is to create a Lenten calendar menu. This is my free printable that I posted in a video previously. It just prints out really nicely on 2 pages so you can stick it on the fridge. And what I try to do is plan out all of the meals for at least dinner time. Usually breakfast and lunch are pretty easy. You can make snack, charcuterie boards that are vegan, or you can just do oatmeal or cereal or things like that, pancakes for breakfast. But dinners, I think it's the men in our lives. They're a little bit less easy to please when it comes to vegan menus. So I like to have something planned out that, just makes it feel a little bit more substantial, especially for dinner. So this is very helpful if you print it out and you plan it and you just have it on the fridge. Also, everybody else knows what you had planned for the meal that week, and then they can also help pitch in as far as actually making the meals, which is really nice. Okay, so tip number 2, this one is a little bit controversial. Some people would find this is actually more difficult for their family in the time of Lent, and it might make it harder to get through. But we fast from media during Lent. So no TV, no movies, no video games. And it's hard. You have to decide what's best for your family. For my kids, they get a little too crazy about the TV and wanting to watch it all the time and play video games and Minecraft and whatever. So I feel like it's a good idea to take away the TV during Lent and just refocus our lives back to God and to the resurrection, and obviously prayers, almsgiving, and fasting during this time. But for some parents, I think that idea would be completely overwhelming. They would feel like they would not be able to get through Lent if they didn't have that reprieve from the TV. So I totally understand if you choose not to do that. No judgment whatsoever. And probably you shouldn't do it maybe if it's your first Lent, because your kids are already going to be super tired from fasting and praying more and going to all the services. Okay, so tip number 3. This one is you could do it or you could not do it. I like to read this book, A Journey Through Lent. It's very helpful to have something to kind of just have on your own. I kind of have switched between this book and also reading the Psalter by Saint Ephrem the Syrian, which I really love to do. Another thing that you might want to do is join the Psalter Sisters. That is something that a lot of churches do, where you read a kathisma a day during Lent, and they break it up so that each person who's participating is reading a different kathisma, and that way the entire book of Psalms is read every day during Lent, which is really cool. And you do it on your own time. It's not like you have to go to another thing during Lent. You do it at home in your private time, whether it be during your prayers or another time during the day. My next tip and trick, this one is about services, is to create a little bag that you can bring to church with you that has quiet activities in it for kids. And this needs to be an Orthodox quiet activity bag. It shouldn't be a bag with, just random toys in it, or you know, anything that could be a distraction to the kids that are sitting around you, because that's very hard for parents. So what I usually put in mine is a couple of laminated saint or paper saint icons. This is really good for the kids to just look at. And actually, if you go to the dollar store, they have little tiny like 4x6 or 5x7 photo albums. They're tiny and they're only $1. And I like to put all of these in the photo album, and I can't find the one I have right now. It's somewhere in our house. But this way they can flip through the book, and my little babies will like venerate the icons as they're sitting through the services. So I like to put those in. I also like to put a couple prayer ropes. I'll put an actual prayer rope in. And then I have this teething prayer rope that I got on Amazon. This is more Catholic style, but if you wanted to make your own, you just get silicone beads, and you could probably do them in black or gray would be my thought. But this is really good for babies. You know, it has a cross on it, and like even my 2-year-old would know what to do with this to say the Jesus prayer. And then I usually put a couple of Orthodox books in there, just 1 or 2. Like this one is What Do You See at Liturgy? And then this one, you probably have all seen this amazing book. It goes through the whole alphabet, and it has a letter for each, it has an Orthodox item for each letter, which is really cool. Also, another thing that's really cool is, I will link this in the description. I can't find ours, of course, right now, but in years past, we have done the Passport to Pascha, which is a little passport, and it comes with stickers for every service you go to, and I will link that. If you have older kids, like above 5, they will love this. It's really cool, and it helps keep them engaged, and they get to put a sticker in their book every night at the end of service or every day over the weekend services, and it's really, really neat. So I will link that one. Okay, tip number 5, preparing for Holy Week ahead of time. Here's a couple of quick things that will help you prepare for Holy Week ahead of time. The first thing is start collecting your onion skins as you're making all of your vegan meals. Just get a little Tupperware or a basket to sit next to your prep station or your stove, wherever you cook onions. And then every time that you peel one, just keep the outer layer. Those yellow skins actually will dye your eggs red for Pascha. Another tip about being ready for Holy Week is to make sure everyone in your family has either an all black or all dark outfit and then a white outfit for Pascha. You don't have to do this, not everybody does this, but if you remember, Holy Week is very solemn, and it's essentially a funeral for Christ towards the end of the week. So most of the time, traditional parishes, people just do this automatically. They're very solemn. They don't want to draw attention to themselves. So I always dress my children in all black during especially the end of Holy Week, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when Christ is being nailed to the cross. And then on Pascha, we come all dressed in white or very bright colors. And then that's our evening service, like going from 11 p.m. until the morning. We wear white then. And then at the Agape Vespers, that's when we wear like our traditional Easter outfit. We might come in a dress with a cute hat or bonnet or whatever. But it's very helpful if you'd like to participate in this to prep these things ahead of time. So just make sure you have something set aside for everybody in your family in black or dark, and then white or light for Pascha. There are Orthodox calendars that have Holy Week in them so that you can plan all these things, because there's like a million things to do, especially if you're part of the Pascha team at your parish, if you're part of flowers, or you're part of the tomb decorating, or you're part of the egg making, or the Pascha carnival, or whatever it is. There's so much to do during that week. So I just suggest, planning a little bit ahead and making sure you have all of those things ready for Pascha before you get to Holy Week, so that you're not scrambling during Holy Week trying to prepare for Pascha. You really want to prepare your soul during Holy Week and just not have much, if anything, left to do. Which brings me to my next tip, the Pascha basket. I love Pascha basket shopping. You can go watch some of my other videos. Just go on my channel, type in Pascha basket, and you will see all of my previous Pascha basket shopping videos where my husband and I, and then one time my daughter and I, when my husband was sick, we go out and we buy the stuff that we're gonna have for Pascha. We do it a little bit different every year, just based on what the kids want after they've been fasting for so long. But really, it's just fun to go to the store and get excited about breaking the fast finally and you know, just Pascha's coming and you're just so excited. I usually do save that for Saturday of Holy Week, after the St. Basil liturgy and before Vespers. We just usually just go out that day and do it. So I'm very excited about doing that again this year. Tip number 7, this one is about almsgiving. So, you know, there's lots of people out there who don't have a lot of extra money, but you can almsgive with your time, you can almsgive with your heart. Here's a couple of easy ways that you can participate in this as a family. You can collect extra food that you might have to take to your food bank. You can join a meal train for a family in need. There's plenty, I'm sure. If you don't know what a meal train is, it's usually someone brings a meal to somebody who's sick or has had a baby. I know we have 3 right now just in our parish. You could reach out to neighboring parishes to see if there's meal trains for anybody who might need them. You can donate some of your clothing to homeless shelters and places like that need donations. There's always things that you can do if you don't have any extra money to actually give alms. Almsgiving is really just about sacrificing from your heart and finding a way to donate your time, energy, and money to somebody else who is needy. I feel like there's always the ability to do that. There's always a need to do that. So be creative, think about it. It doesn't necessarily have to be extra tithing. Okay, tip number 8 for getting ready for Lent and participating in Lent. Don't take on any extra things right now. Like, don't remodel your house during Lent. Don't try to move during Lent. Don't try to start a new venture during Lent. It can wait 40 days. I promise you, it can wait. Our souls are going to be taxed by the demons, the temptations. We are in the midst of the hardest part of the year. Yeah, do you want the prayer rope? Don't take on anything that's going to make this even harder for you. Try to keep life as simple as possible for the next 40 days. Try to pray as often as you can. And of course, I'm only saying these things because this is what the fathers tell us. I'm not telling you what to do. These are just things the fathers tell us, your priest would tell you, your spiritual father would tell you. Because right now, Lent is such a challenging time, but it's so rewarding, of course, if you can, make it through to Pascha. So just consider keeping life very simple right now. Don't try to do any big thing. Don't try to be like, I'm so motivated that I'm gonna, declutter my entire house during Lent. Don't do that. Just focus on the prayers, focus on your family, focus on trying to just fast, pray, and almsgiving. Make it as simple as you can, and that will give you better success, I think, to make it through. Okay, tip number 9, we're almost to the end. This one is really easy. If you don't know how to make beans and oatmeal, scratch, dry beans, things like that, just go watch a quick YouTube video. The other thing that I like to do too is to take out my bread machines and start making bread every day for Lent. It's really, really cost effective, but also better for you. If you're going to be eating a lot of grains, maybe even consider starting a sourdough starter. If you already know how to do it, don't, again, like my previous tip, don't take on too much. Don't try to learn too much right now. But if you have somebody that can show you, or you already know, or you feel like that wouldn't stress you out to try, learning how to do sourdough is a great thing to know just for Lent, because we're limited on what we can eat. So if you're going to be eating grains, it's great to eat fermented grains like sourdough. But also get your Instant Pot out and learn how to cook dry beans in the Instant Pot. Learn how to do overnight oats in the Instant Pot. Super easy, really, really, really helpful things to do during this time. All right, last but definitely not least is your prayer life. How can you get through your prayer life with these kids? It's so difficult. Let me tell you, this is the one thing that I really, really struggle with. I have a hard time praying at night because I'm exhausted by the end of the day. I have a hard time praying in the morning because my kids wake me up and immediately need my attention. I have a hard time praying during the services because they need my attention and I have to keep them quiet. Yes. The only thing that I have found that works for me is putting on an akathist on YouTube or trying to trying to pray with my children as much as I can. It's very difficult. Don't feel bad. Like, don't bring yourself down if this is not happening. You are fostering orthodoxy in your kids every single day, and especially now during Lent. And I would just say, find things that work for you, even if it's not every day. Even if it's just a little bit more than you normally do, that is growth. And that is what we're trying to accomplish. Okay. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And sits at the right hand of the Father. And he shall come again with glory to judge the living and the dead, whose kingdom shall have no end. And I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord and giver of life, who proceeds from the Father, who with the Father and the Son together is worshipped and glorified, who spoke by the prophets. And I believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. I acknowledge one baptism for the remission of sins. I look for the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. Amen.
Now this is your new city.
Slaves.
That's nice.
So why do I wake up this morning to hear that something's not a fragrance? Oh. We're playing apples to apples, and Xana kept playing. And they will all turn and recognize how boundless the love of God is for man. Then the holy resurrection will be alive within us with great strength.
So I wish you the best of luck, and I wish you great strength during the fast. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And I really am praying for everyone this Lent, including me, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this, but I'm just pulling out all my tips and tricks that I have done in the past to help make this time be a little bit easier and a little bit less stressful. Lord have mercy on everybody. And I really hope that this Lent is just amazing for you and you have a very blessed Pascha, and that all of us can draw near to Christ in this time and just soak it in. It only happens once a year.